Okay. So, we'll allow ourselves to switch into those core muscles, deep abdominal muscles, deep back muscles, and the pelvic floor. And we're going to allow ourselves to find that nice neutral posture. Let's start by bringing our feet underneath our hips, and we'll allow the toes to point forwards. And just taking that time to bring your focus in. So if you found yourself a nice space, just take a moment to just check that there's no external concerns, and you are able to bring your focus in on your body and how it feels today. Bearing in mind that, you know, our bodies are ever changing, so it might be that today your body doesn't feel quite the same as it did last week, and that's okay. So we've got our feet just underneath our hips, and we're going to start to focus in on our breath. And if you want to close the eyes, by all means do. So we'll just allow that breath to come and go nice and gently. Come in and out of the rib cage. Breath to flow down into the pelvis. Tension into your pelvic bowl. Let's just tip the pelvis gently forwards and gently back. And again, imagining that the pelvis is a bowl of water filled to the top. A bit of water out the front of the bucket, the bowl, and allowing a little bit to go out the back of the bowl. And then find that place in between those two extremes where it doesn't feel as though you're tipping out the front or out of the back. From there, just allow there to be a sense of softness into the hips and into the knees and into the ankles. And allowing yourself to really register how much of your weight is sinking into the floor. Transferring a little bit of weight over the front of our feet and a little bit of weight into the back of the feet. And we'll find that place where our weight's right between those 2 feet. Let's start to then energise ourselves from the bottom upwards. So we'll think about the energy in our soles of our feet. There's an arch that runs between the big metatarsal and the heel, and we're going to allow ourselves to draw up the energy through that arch of the foot. Some of us will already notice pelvic floor switching in and on as we do that. So the pelvic floor starts to switch in, and that's marvellous. We're going to allow ourselves to use that little lift through the arch of the foot, and we're allowing ourselves to lift through the pelvic floor.
Hi Emma.
Hi Anne.
Alright, thank you for waiting.
So as we've got that little lift through the pelvic floor, you may want to allow yourself to also draw in through the belly button. We'll lengthen up through the spine. So as we do that, let's feel as though the head is a helium-filled balloon growing up towards the space above us. From there, we're going to lift the shoulders. We're going to roll the shoulders gently back and down. And let's do that a few times. Rolling those shoulders gently back and down. That's it, lovely. Good. Those shoulders sink down towards the tailbone. Head extends up towards the space above us. And just check that as you've rolled the shoulders back and down, the rib cage hasn't popped forwards. Let there be a sense of connection between your ribs and your hips. Nice deep breath. Allow the right arm to float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arm floats back down, and then we'll allow the opposite arm to float forwards and up. Morning, Brian. Good. As one arm floats up, the other one starts to float down. Let's allow those arms to come back by our sides. Taking a deep breath, we'll allow the right ear to dip down towards the right shoulder. Nice deep breath, and the head lifts up and over to the second side. Good. Keep that going for me. Morning, the neck feels particularly stiff, I find, and this is a really nice one to get that length out of the neck. So then we'll bring our head into the centre and we'll take some little side to side looks. So looking over to your right shoulder, looking to your right side, and then coming to the centre and we'll look over to the opposite side. And once again on each side. See if we can combine both of these or a sort of combination of the two. So as we come into the centre, just tip the head gently forwards, gently to the side for me, and then just allow the chin to gently tuck inwards towards the shoulder, so you get a little bit of a combination of the two. And then come back to face me and bring the head back into the centre. We'll let the head lean over to the opposite side. And then again, just start to let the chin start to gently dip down. Ooh la la, that's the spot for me. Ooh, that's a really long stretch. And then bringing the head back and coming into the centre. Let's do that one more time. Oh, one more time on each side. Don't know what combination of words that was. Coming back to see me, head comes up and over to the opposite side. And then the chin gently dips down, get that nice sense of length. And then bringing the head back to the centre. Lovely. As we get there, take a little softening through the knees. And then allowing the legs to lengthen. So some of us will notice that as we bend the knees, you'll get to a certain point where the hips will just want to tip you forwards. Let's see if we can imagine that we're leaning against a wall. And we're just sliding down the wall. Roll down through the spine, so we'll tuck the chin towards the chest. Allow the head to become heavy and we'll gently roll down through the vertebrae, coming down bit by bit, piece by piece. Breath at the bottom and breathe out as we roll up through the spine. Letting the head come on top, we lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down. Let's allow both arms to float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down again and releasing through the top of the head. Breath at the bottom and breathing out as we roll up through the spine. Lifting those shoulders, rolling the shoulders back and down, both arms float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down. From there, take that little bend through the knees, and if you want to, the arms can open out to the side. Beautiful, lovely. Once again, rolling down through the spine. So for those of us, if anyone's watching and they've had a disc issue, maybe a bulging disc, these roll downs are not going to be good for you. You're not going to enjoy them. In which case, you can take a little squat for me. Good, the arms float forwards and up. We've got that connection through those core muscles. Let's take that bend through the knees, let the arms open out to the side. We'll take some side bends from here. So, taking a nice deep breath, right fingertips glide down the side of the leg, head extends out and away. Breath in as we come back through the centre, up and over to the other side. And over. That's it, nice. So you've got the head reaching out and away. At the same time, your feet are staying grounded. So if you want to add the top arm in, do. Or just extend the arm up and over. Sometimes that becomes a little bit as if you've got too heavy a lever, in which case you can just keep the arms by your side. Or you can bend the knees and that will give you a little bit more grounding if you want to add the arms in, but it feels like it's a bit intense. Good. Once more, finishing off on this second side. And again, releasing through the top of the head, taking that roll down through the spine. At the top, breathing out as we roll up through the spine. We lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, let both the arms float forwards and up. Now from here, just pull the elbows wide for me, let the elbows pull down. Let's do a few more like that. So we're lifting up. Now really work into the core so that your rib cage doesn't pop forwards and your tail doesn't poke back. Lovely. Two more, soften through the knees. You've got that nice connection through the core. Lovely. Hold it for me there. Drop the shoulders down and away. Take a breath. Pelvis stays still as the rib cage rotates around. Breathing in as we return back to the centre. And rotating around to the second side. Breath in as we return back to the centre. Keeping that going for me. Beautiful. And again, if we want to explore those levers, we can let the arms lengthen out and away. Now they're all the way lengthened out from our shoulders. Notice as we rotate around, our arm doesn't suddenly end up in front of our face, neither does it disappear from our peripheral vision. So we don't lose sight of the fingertips. But if you prefer to bring the fingertips in towards one another because it's too much stress on the shoulders because it's become such a long lever, that's absolutely fine also. Yeah, beautiful, good. Last one here, take a breath, bring the hands in for me, shoulders gliding down the back. Lovely, let's open the arms out, keep the elbows tucked in nice and tight, getting those shoulders waking up. Yep. Arms open out to the side, shoulders squeeze in together. We're just going to take two more of these and then we're going to go with the right arm circling around the head. So just one more for me. Check that your weight's in the whole of your foot and you've not suddenly rocked back or rocked forwards. The right hand circles around and above the head. And then we circle back around, changing to the other side. Circling around. And back we come. Same on that first side again. Nice sense of connection through the core. On each side. Hands away from us, pushing through the heel of the hand. And then we'll gently circle. We've got 3, 2, 1, circling back, and 3, 2, 1, change the direction, 3, 2, 1, change direction, 3, 2. Beautiful, give it a release out. And then we can just take the arms behind us. See if we can take hold of the elbows. And we might be able to find the elbows, we might even be able to find the fingertips and make a prayer position with the fingers going upwards. We might be making a prayer position with the fingers going downwards. Let's see what works well for us. From there, taking a breath, let the right ear dip down towards the right shoulder. See if this feels different. And the head lifts up and over to the opposite side. Lovely, and again up and over to the first side. And up and over to the second side. To the centre, give it a little shake out. Good, let's take a little bit of balance work, guys. So we'll allow ourselves, I've just sneakily got off of my squidgy mat, which is very cheeky of me because it's harder on the mat. So we'll take a deep breath. Let's take a few rises. So let's allow the heels to gently lift away from us. And then float back down. And we're lifting. And we're lowering. Good. Taking 2 more like that. And then we'll allow that right leg to lift. So we'll allow the foot to gently lift on up. And then we'll float the foot back down and we'll change over to the other side. Lovely. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Good. Let's see about allowing the opposite arm to open out to the side. And then floating down. So again, you can see the fingertips in the corner of your eye as the arm opens out to the side. And we can feel that the shoulders are working really hard for us to glide down. It's as if you're opening up a great big gorgeous wing as you allow the arm to open. So drop down to allow the arm to open out. Good. Let's hold it up there this time and we'll allow that knee to open out to the side. And then we'll draw the leg back in. And floating down, changing to the other side, we lift. Knee opens out to the side. I'm with you, Rachel. That's where we're going for sure. And floating down. So this time, as we lift the leg, we're going to draw the arm across as the knee opens out. And then coming back. And floating down. Good, lovely. So coordination is one of our Pilates principles. It's not just that I think it looks pretty, lifting, but it is mainly that I think it looks pretty. And again there, lovely. Let's allow that right leg to come out to the side. So we're going to push the leg to the side and sink on down. Let's take 3 more like that. 3 more, oh, sorry, on the same side. And 2 more like that. Now really strong, lifting out of our waist. So we lift out of our waist and we're also trying to lift out of our hip socket. And changing sides. So I'll do an extra one and stop counting. Rib cage is drawing down. And so we've got three more on this side. It's amazing I got maths GCSE at all, isn't it? Last one. Good, now we're going to add a little squat in here. So we're going to sink down, bottom pushes back. Oh, and lift on up, push the leg to the side. That was me completely cheating. I just sat on the sofa. Sink down and let the right leg push out and away. Good. Yeah, lovely. One more on this side. Changing sides. Push on down. Left leg pushes out to the side. Good, lovely. I've got some people that change in sides each time because I think they don't trust my maths, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I don't trust my maths either. This is number 4, right? Ah, got division in the ranks there. Okay, so hold it down there for me. Let's take a moment. Weights in the heels. Push the bottom backwards as if you were going to sit down on your chair. That just happened to be behind you. Shoulders gliding down. Here we go. Little step to the side. So you're in a very small tunnel. Step to the side. Draw the feet together. Step to back. Step back. Draw the feet together. Okay. Again. Step. And together. Squeezing in here. Yeah? Yeah? We're squeezing. We've got one more in us. We've got one more. Woo! Shoulders, shoulders, shoulders. And lift on up. Loving your work, guys. Well done. Nice deep breath. Let's come down to the floor. So we'll release through the top of the head, rolling down through the spine. And we'll bring the hands underneath the shoulders and we'll bring the knees underneath the hips. So we'll take a nice deep breath there and we'll allow the back to gently push up towards the sky, head drops between the arms, tailbone points down. And then we lengthen the head and tail away from one another. Squeeze in through the tummy, we push the back up, tailbone points down, head releases. And we lengthen the head and tail away. So keep that going for me, just really enjoying that sense of movement through the spine. Find in that place where it feels as though you've got a nice sort of, I always think of this as my tabletop position. So my tailbone is stretching away from me, my head is lengthening in the opposite direction. Now, can you take a moment to just lift your rib cage and feel that the shoulder blades are really gliding down the back and you've got that nice sense of strength through the tummy. Nice deep breath for me here. As we breathe out, we're going to allow the right arm to slide forwards and lift. Breathe in as the arm floats back in and we'll change over to the other side. So the arm slides forwards, shoulders glide down the back, breath in as we draw the arm back in. And again, the arm slides forwards and draws back in. Keep that going for me. I think I'm going to sneeze. Okay, so we lengthen the arm forwards. Now this time, as it comes back in, extend it back behind you. Let the palm face towards the floor and then just glide your shoulder even further away from you and then bring the arm down. Let's do that on the other side. So we slide the arm away with a little lift, shoulder glides down the back. Slide that arm all the way back, palm facing the floor, and then give it an extra bit of length to glide the shoulder down the back. Draw on in. Again, we stretch the arm away, and then we'll sweep the arm back. Now, fingertips push, let's lengthen the arm away from us. Now give it a little lift up, and then back to hip level, and then slide into the torso, and then replace the arm. So I'm going to do that again on the other side. We stretch the arm away, draw the arm back in, fingertips stretch away from you, palm is facing the floor. We're going to stretch away and then it's a little lift up towards the sky, back to hip level, draw the fingertips towards the hips and release, draw the arm back. One more on each side, stretching away and drawing the arm back. Lovely, palm facing the floor and lift the hand and back to hip level and draw in towards the torso and then bring the arm back. So it's really working those the muscles around the shoulder. Last one. In and a little lift. Draw the hands back underneath us. Shoulders gliding down the back, strengthening through the core. Lovely. We're going to allow the right leg to slide away from us as if we've got a cup of tea balanced on our pelvis. Breathing in as the leg returns. Changing over to the other side. Leg stretches away. Now, let's have a little squeeze in the bottom as we do this. So we take a little squeeze to the right buttock as we stretch the right leg away. Check for me the hips are level. Draw that leg back in. And again, changing over to the other side. Drawing the leg back in. Now, we'll stretch that leg away. Just allow it to extend away for me and then bend in at the knee and let the toe point up for the sky. Good. A little lift up and draw back and draw the leg all the way in. So we're going to stretch the leg away, lift it into line with the knee, draw the toe up towards the sky and then give it a little pulse upwards and draw the leg back in. Keep that going for me. Now remembering that our back is what we're concerned about here. So yes, we're getting a really good little squeeze through the bottom, and that's great, but we don't want to neglect that integrity within our core. So we've got tailbone stretching away, long back, strength in the core, top of the head reaching out and away. Let's do one more on each side. I'm just wondering whether there's a combination with the opposite arm. Oh, look at this, guys. Point the toe up, let the arm come back, little lift, and you could do another one and draw the fingertips in, and then draw the leg and the arm back in. So we're just literally combining the two movements. Off there, sit back onto your heels, give the wrists a moment. Yeah, lovely. Let yourself be really nice and relaxed there. Let the head relax. If your wrists need a little jiggle around, a little wriggle, go for that. And then let's take some nice work to open up through the upper back. Let's allow ourselves to come onto the floor, all the way onto our tummies. So we'll allow the elbows to go nice and wide. We'll allow the fingers to point forwards, and the nose will hover just an inch away from the floor. So we're scooping in through the tummy. The crown of the head is lengthening away. We'll take a nice deep breath, shoulders glide down the back, and the head extends out and away, and the breastbone gently lifts. And we breathe in as we float back down. Good, now keep that going for me. So I'm going to talk to you now rather than talking to the floor. So as you keep that going, you've got that strength in your tummy, so there's no pinch in your lower back. You've got the upper body lengthening, neck is nice and long. So we've got options for the arms. We can allow the hands to very delicately touch the floor, or they might lift off and away from the floor. And if you want, we can add in that little arm that we were doing on all fours. So as we lift up, we can draw the elbows down, stretch the fingers away from us, and just little squeeze the fingertips in towards one another. And we lift up, shoulders glide down the back, little squeeze with the fingertips. Good, keep that going for me. Now, just a little for your information, I've been told by class participants, if you're a slightly larger chested person, the arms by your side apparently is not the most comfortable position to be in. So if you prefer to do that arm work from hands and knees, and then this work with the arms by your side, you carry on doing that. I wouldn't want you to be uncomfortable. Finishing off there. Now I feel we're here on our fronts. It would be rude not to put a little plank exercise in. So let's allow those elbows to come underneath us, shoulders glide down the back. Here we are on the first level of our planks. As soon as we get there, we're scooping the tummy and the tailbone stretching away. So we've got a real nice sense of integrity through the deep core muscles. We're feeling strong, we're feeling good about it. It might be that we stay here for 5 breaths, and that's a marvellous thing. If you feel ready to, from here, you're going to lift the pelvis into line with the shoulders. Shoulders glide down the back. Now, let's give it a squeeze in the tummy. Tailbone is stretching away. We're breathing. Shoulders glide down the back. Again, just check you've got that shoulders gliding down, breastbone lifted, head extending out and away. So your fingertips are kind of looking at your, your eyes are kind of looking at your fingertips. So from there, if you want to, tucking the toes under, lifting the knees, pressing into the heels. Now, did I mention this is a stamina exercise? That's why I'm still talking to you, going on and on and on, and you're thinking, Emma, get on with it already. It's all part of my cunning plan. Shoulders are gliding down the back, we're breathing. Now if we start to shake in any of these options, we lower, but we keep the strength in the movement. If you're in the full plank and you're thinking, come on, let's allow one leg to lift. We'll float that leg down, changing over to the other side. And floating gently down. Lower the knees. Woo! Sit back onto your heels. Ah, breathe nice and gently. As you come onto our side, and we'll take those side leg kicks. So as we're working through the class, guys, I do try to put in as many options as I can. I think I talked about it last week, that those of you that are in the Zoom class, generally I know your bodies and you can tell me if something's not right. Many of you will email me and say, oh, I'm not sure about that exercise, Emma, it's not working out for me. Let's stretch both our legs away while I talk. Those of you that are on Facebook Live, the same thing applies, because I don't know what your bodies are, how your bodies are feeling. So please do message me if you start doing the class and you think, oh, that exercise is horrible. Message me and we can discuss why that might be. So we're breathing, we're lengthening, we've got the top leg lifted, maybe we've got the bottom leg lifted. It's a marvellous thing if we have. We'll keep breathing. Those are your options before you start to think about this top hand lifting off. So if you can get both legs lifted and then you've got the arm lifting away, it's a marvellous thing. We keep breathing, the top leg starts to circle if you want to challenge your balance further. Keep that going for me. You're going to take 4 in one direction and 4 in the other direction. So those of us, if you're in this position and your back starts to pinch, I want you to bring your feet slightly further forwards of you. And that will allow the tailbone, hopefully, or the pelvis to tilt a little bit more so that the tailbone is stretching away from you. Good. How are we doing? Have we changed direction? Because I'm just talking. Yeah, marvellous. When you've done your 4 in the opposite direction, we'll float those legs down. Woo! And we're drawing through the knees. Nice deep breath, and we'll tip the top hip gently forwards and we'll squeeze in through the tummy. Take a nice deep breath for me there and allow that top knee to gently lift and lower. That sneeze is coming back again and threatening. Hold on. What about if I hold my nose? Do we think that'll help? We'll see. Yeah. Knees together and allow both the feet to lift. I love the fact that during these Zoom classes I'm also getting to know who's got pets and what pets you've got. Mainly when the dogs and the cats appear on the screen. It's very sweet. Those up and hold them up. Let's allow the top knee to lift. Stretch the leg away. Drawing the leg back in and coming down. Let's do that again. And we lift and extend away. Drawing the leg in and coming down. Good. 2 more like that. Generally my cat doesn't make her way into this room. She doesn't like this room as much, it would appear. Occasionally she does sit on my chair though. And floating gently down. Let's take a little stretch for that thigh, which is a little bit off-putting when I chuck my jumper on there, not realising, and when I pick it back up again it's covered in hair. So if I'm ever in class and I've got cat hair all over me, do send me a little message because I may not have noticed. Keeping the breath flowing. Releasing there. Now if you've got a cushion or a pillow or something you just want to pop under your head, we'll take that opening up like a book. Breath for me there, and top arm gently opens. I wonder whether it's a cat hair I've got that's making me want to sneeze. side, and we've got the top arm gently opening, eyes are fixed on the hand, and we're breathing in as the arm returns. Now some of us will do this exercise and then we'll want to add in our little chalk circle. So you can carry on, or you can add in a little chalk circle. Imagine you've got a piece of chalk in your top hand. You keep it connected to the floor as you circle around and as you draw back. Let's just do 2 more in whichever combination you're doing. Some of you may notice that as you get to a certain point, there's a little sort of blip, there's a little sort of lifty moment. Don't worry about that, just go with it. It's all rather marvellous, I say. Let's do just that last one. And then we'll bring ourselves up to sitting. Come on up. I will just adjust my Larry leggings and it's all good. Good. So we're taking the legs wide. See if you can find the knobbly sits bones, the knobbly bits right underneath us. And we lift the shoulders and we roll them back and down. Lift the shoulders, roll them back and down. And just one more. Lovely. Shoulders gliding down the back. Let's take a breath. Let's see if we can ease ourselves gently forwards, just to allow us to take a little gentle stretch through the inner thigh into the hip there. Lifting nice and tall. So we'll take the right hand by our side. We'll allow the left arm to lift up and gently over. And then coming through the centre, up and over to the opposite side. And up and over. Beautiful. This, just take a moment to check that both sides of the pelvis stay grounded. So if you were in wet cement, you'd be making sure you got a really even imprint of your bottom. I don't know when that would ever be a necessity for life, but go with it. Hold it for me here. We're going to do what I'm affectionately calling the seatbelt stretch. So we've got this is your left arm. Yes, this is your left arm. Put your seatbelt on and then twist to find the bit where the seatbelt goes. So where your seatbelt comes from, and then draw it in. More like that. Then let's take that arm down and we'll allow the right arm to lift on up, drawing the arm into where your seatbelt would click into place and then lifting open. Nice, good. Release in there. Good. Give the legs a little jiggle as they come on in. Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. And we've got the legs out in front of us. Good. We'll just take a moment to see if we can lengthen into those hamstrings. So let's lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders gently back and down. Let's do 2 more like this. For some of us, lifting really tall in this position is a real challenge for our core to keep us lifted and lengthened. So we can stay here, we can breathe nice and gently. Some of us can lever ourselves forwards and get a nice stretch into the hamstrings. So we're lengthening nice and tall, shoulders are gliding down the back, and we can allow ourselves to just ease gently forwards. Others of us will be thinking, actually, I'm being pulled backwards, which means that, you know, extending forwards is impossible. So in which case, pop a cushion underneath your bottom. You can put as many cushions underneath your bottom as you want to get that upright position. So I'm sitting on, my cushion's a bit flat actually, I could do with a bigger one. So we're lifting really nice and tall, and then it's a little lever from the hinge from the hip socket. Shoulders glide down the back. And we lift up nice and tall. Let's come into our side leg kicks on the other side. So the side that you haven't got your cushion on. And if you just want to roll away from me, that's fine. But if you want to switch the head over to the other side, that's all good too. Yeah, that's lovely. Good. So we've got our hips on top of one another, and we can see our toes. If we can normally see our toes when we're standing, we should be able to see them now. Strength through the core, legs stretch away from us, fully reaching those legs away. We'll let the shoulders glide down the back, looking to find that sense of extension. So again, this is a stamina exercise, which again is why I chat at you at this point. This top hand may be able to lift off and rest by your side, which would be marvellous, which is really challenging the balance. From here, 4 circles in one direction, 4 in the other. Keep it going for me. Again, if you need to drop that bottom leg down, if you need to bend in through the bottom leg, do. If there's any pinching in the neck, if there's discomfort in the neck, the bottom leg can rest on down. The other thing you can do is if your arm doesn't like going all the way above your head, you've got the option of a pillow and the arm coming forwards instead. Good. I'm relying on you guys to be counting while I was chatting there. So I'm assuming when you've done 4 on each side, you will float those legs down and soften in through the knees. Beautiful. Good. Top hip tips forwards. Squeezing in through the tummy will allow that top knee to gently lift and lower. So when I'm doing class with you guys, I'm looking for this top hip to stay really still. Sometimes I can see because the knee that kind of sweeps open, and then I know there's the hip is moving. But sometimes it stays at a certain level, but the hip still moves. So see if you can really fix that pelvis and let that top hip be tipping forwards. Beautiful. Knees come together, feet lift, squeeze in through the tummy. We'll aim to get the pelvis as still as we can. There'll be a slight movement, but we'll look to get it as still as we can, strength through the core. Holding the toes up there, we're allowing the knees to lift, we're stretching the leg away. Drawing the toes in and bringing the knee down. Good, and again we lift, extend away, draw the toe back in, knee comes down. 2 more like that. Beautiful, that looks good. Last one, stretching away, see if we can get that bottom leg to stay really lifted. Beautiful, lovely. Come on down, let's stretch out through the front of that thigh, taking hold of the foot and stretching away. Good, as we take this stretch, just allow yourself to be quite open across the front of the body, so you've got a nice sense of openness across the chest, the shoulders gliding down the back, and we're aiming to get that nice sense of openness across this top hip. Let's stretch the knee away from us, that's really stretching down towards sort of the wall. The foot can come in quite close to the bottom. Take a moment to check you're not lifting the knee for the sky. Let's get it in line with our hip. Then just do me one little adjustment. Tuck the tailbone under and push the pelvis forward. So push the hip forwards and we'll really open up the front of the pelvis here. Hopefully that feels a little bit different and more intense. And releasing, pop that cushion underneath your head. We'll take our opening up like a book. Breath, and we let that top arm gently open. Eyes are fixed on the hand. And we breathe in as the arm gently returns. And top arm gently opens. Eyes are fixed on the hand. In that little chalk circle, do so the fingertips stay connected to the floor. As you open out, you'll feel a stretch down the chest and probably down the arm. One where you get a stretch down the chest and the arm doesn't mean you're having a heart attack if it's just in this exercise. Releasing there, good. Coming onto your back. The feet to be on the floor and the knees to be bent. If you want the cushion to stay underneath your head, by all means keep it under there for these next few exercises. You might want to get a really nice sense of length across the back of the neck. If you're thinking, I don't need a cushion, Emma, let's just get rid of it, that's fine too. Take a moment, we're going to get into the pelvis. So let's allow ourselves to take a little movement. I'm really loving at the moment the clock face image. So you're imagining you've got a clock on your abdomen, 12 o'clock at the belly button, 6 o'clock at the pubic bone. So we're going to rock towards 12 o'clock. We're going to rock around to 3 o'clock. We're going to rock around to 6 o'clock and we're going to rock around to 9 o'clock. Coming around to 12 o'clock. And circling gently around. Is everybody else singing the song We're Gonna Rock Around the Clock Tonight in their head? Because every time I do this image, that song comes into my mind. Keep it rocking around. Now we'll go anti-clockwise. So we've come to 12 o'clock. We're going to come all the way back around. Now just do that 2 more times for me. Notice whether there are any little parts of that feel a bit ooh, and just, you know, let that register for you. And now we're going to find our neutral spine. So we're going to find a place in between those spots where it feels as though we're not rocking towards any of the numbers on the clock face, but we're nicely even. Rib cage rests down, and there should be a little curve in your lower back. It will be different for all of us. Arms resting down by our side. Squeeze in through the tummy. Nice and deep with the breath. Right foot lifts away from the floor. Bring the knee to come to hover above the hip socket. We're going to take 5 little circles with this thigh bone. So breathing out for half the circle. Breathing in to complete the circle. Keep that going for me. 5 in one direction. 5 in the other direction. Now we're in neutral spine here, which allows us to really switch into those deep core muscles. We've got our transverse abdominal switched on, and we've got our pelvic floor really switching on for us. When we've done 5 in one direction, we'll change to the other direction. I find this one's really quite intense, and you can make this as challenging as you want to by making the circle larger. Floating that leg down when you've done 5 in that direction, and then we'll change over to the other leg. So allow yourself to take a really smooth, controlled circle here, and that will allow you to keep your hips from rocking from side to side, and we'll use that strength in the core. The rib cage sinks down into the ground, the back of the neck is lengthening. If you feel as though you want more challenge, you can make that circle larger. You might want to slide this leg out of your way just to get that larger circle. Good. When you've done 5 in both directions, we'll bring that knee in and we'll give it a good hug. That knee in, we're going to stretch the right leg away from us. So we've got the left leg hugged in and we're stretching the right leg away. If you're on the other leg, it doesn't matter because we're going to swap in a sec anyway. Just take a moment, let those shoulders relax down, let the back of the neck lengthen. So the whole of the back, the tailbone, everything's really stretching away and lengthening. And then we'll change to the other side, drawing that right knee in, stretching the left leg away from us, lengthening that left leg away. And again, that you've got the lower back pressing into the floor for this stretch. You've got a nice sense of connection through the tummy, and we should get a nice sense of stretch down that hip there. Drawing that second leg in, give it a good hug. Now, once we're here, we've got the back pressing into the ground. So this next exercise, we're not necessarily going to work in neutral spine. We're going to aim for imprinted spine. So we're squeezing in through the tummy. Just take a moment to really connect into those core muscles. We want deep abdominals kicking in, maybe pelvic floor really supporting us as well. Squeeze in, let the arms rest down by your side. So you're doing your best to keep the legs in place. Core muscles are engaged and we're breathing. Allow yourself to find a challenging place with these legs. So we can start to press those legs away from us until maybe the knees come to hover above the hip socket and the calf comes to a 90-degree angle. You've got the tummy scooping in. So I find this transition allows me to really keep the belly pulled in. If you get to that point where your tummy domes upwards, we'll just draw the knees back in a little. If you start to feel there's a strain in the lower back and pulling the knees in doesn't help it, work with one leg lifted. We'll go back to neutral spine. Taking a deep breath from there, as we breathe out, we'll stretch the leg away from us. Breathing out as the leg stretches away. Breathe in as the leg returns. If you're working with one leg lifted, do 5 on that side, then change sides. If you're working with 2 legs lifted, we're going to alternate sides each time. Beautiful. Now, the lower you take that leg to the floor, the more of a challenge it's going to be in the core muscles. Lower back stays pressing into the ground, squeezing in through the tummy. Let those shoulders melt down into the ground. Rest down, sinking into the floor. Side, if you're working with the one leg lifted, finish off your 5 on that second side. And then bring the knees in, give them a good hug. And let's allow one foot to rest down onto the floor. We'll allow the opposite leg to float down. Again, we've got the feet just hip distance apart and the knees are bent. So we'll squeeze in through the tummy. Take a deep breath. We're going to allow the fingertips to reach towards the toes, the head and the shoulders just lift away from the floor, and we breathe in as we float back down. So a few things to think about as we take this little abdominal curl up. Fingers are stretching towards the toes, shoulders glide down the back, lots of space between the shoulders and the ears. There's space between your chin and your chest as you curl gently up, squeezing the tummy down. Taking 2 more like that. Making sure the belly button's drawing down towards the spine. Finishing off there. Bring the knees back in towards the chest and give them a good hug. Lovely. We're coming into that 100 position again, and you can either work with 1 leg lifted or you can work with 2 legs lifted. So you've got that squeeze in the tummy. We'll allow the knees to come hopefully somewhere around the hip, above the hip socket. Now let the arms rest down by your side. Again, let the palms face down. So let's do the same thing with our upper body lift, but with the legs lifted. If you want to work with 1 leg lifted, that's fine. So we lift the head and shoulders, fingertips reach away, breathing in as you float back down. Keep it going for me. If you want to stretch the right leg away, breathe in as we bring the leg back in. You're changing legs each time. For me, if you're working with 1 leg lifted, we've got neutral spine, we're stretching the leg away, shoulders and head lift away. Keep it going for me until you've done 5 on that right side, then change to the other side. If your neck, either the back of the neck or the front of the neck starts to feel sore, we can keep the head down and just do the legs. Five on both sides. If you're working with one leg lift, when you've done 5 on both sides, once again, bring the knees in towards the chest and give them a good hug. Going to head into the centre. Just allow the feet to rest down onto the floor. I want you to bring your feet together for me, so your knees come close together, so you've glued the whole of your legs together. Let the arms rest down by your sides here. Strength through the core. Now, we're going to allow the knees to start to tip over to the right side. Just, they go a little way. Squeeze in and bring the pelvis back. So as the knees tip over, one hip will start to lift away from the floor. As you come back, the pelvis comes down and the knees come back into the centre. So we keep the shoulders sinking down. And we draw gently back. Keep the knees glued together so you've got that nice sense of rotation through the torso. As your legs start to slide past one another, that's when you've gone far enough. Keep it going for me. Now, if you want to add this into a bit of a core strengthening exercise, you've got your 100 position with your back imprinted. 2 legs are lifted. Same thing, knees start to gently tip over to one side. We breathe in as we draw the legs back in. Knees tip over to the opposite side. And we draw back through the centre. Now the shoulders stay really nicely grounded. That's really, really important. Squeezing in through those core muscles. Lovely. And we only go as far as we can go with control. There. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Let the head curl up towards the knees. Take a little rock forwards and back, forwards and back. Building the momentum to ping yourself up to sitting. If you think, not for me, Em, then come onto your side and bring yourself up to a seated position in a way that suits you better. Well done. Unbelievably, we've run out of time. So let's just allow ourselves to take a little balance here because we love it. That's why we have to do it. So we've squeezed in and the toes lift away from the floor. And we let those shoulders glide down the back and the breastbones lifting. Head extends out and away. We are lengthened, we are tall, we are feeling gorgeous. Take a nice deep breath. Let the arms reach out and away. Nice. Take a breath, let the right leg stretch away. Draw the right leg in. Stretch the left leg away. Keep the chest really lifted. 2 legs stretch away. Stretch, 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 stretch. Beautiful. Lovely. Well done. Good. Swing the legs around. Let's come to a crouch position and we will gently bring ourselves up to standing. Tucking the toes under. We'll press the heels into the ground. Let the head become nice and heavy. Give it a good shake up. Check there's no tension there. Dropping the tailbone, rolling up through the spine. Let the shoulders glide down the back. Head extends up. Last thing of all. And when we get there, we're lengthening nice and tall. Shoulders glide down the back. Let your feet sink into the floor. I've got to come a bit further on the mat. Ah, that's better. Lovely. And then we take a deep breath in, reach really tall. Breathing out and we'll let it all go. Give it a good shake out. Give yourselves a round of applause there, guys. Well done.